This government wants more illegal immigrants because they rely on vulnerable and poor people to vote for them.
This is the same Keir Starmer who, on the second day in office, decided to ditch the Rwanda deportation plan.
Right.
To Keir Starmer's soft touch Britain. To sponge off Keir Starmer's soft touch Britain. Now, come on, illegal immigrants are a drain on a country's resources, and that's not the only argument against them.
These people are criminals. They're breaking into this country, and we're paying billions of pounds every year.
Anyone gets in, doesn't matter whether they're criminals before, and we've had terrorist groups saying we're going to use this to send in terrorists. So how many thousands of terrorists could we have now?
We know that.
Every illegal migrant that enters the country costs the Exchequer about £50,000 a year. So 30,000 people so far this year is £1.5 billion per annum. So just think about that and put that in the context of the winter fuel benefits being removed, the winter fuel allowance. You know, they could have allowed our elderly all the money that they were going to get, because that was meant to save £1.5 billion, by simply enforcing our borders. And last year we spent £7 billion. So that bill on illegal migrants of £7 billion last year, next year is going to be £8.5 billion plus.
Now, we can of course see the appeal that the UK offers for those seeking a safe place to live.
We entice them across by giving them, you know, free hotels, free food, 45 quid a week, free lawyers, free doctors, free dentists, you know, and we wonder why they want to come here.
Likewise, one can certainly see the attraction of people smuggling.
For as long as there are people desperate to come to the UK because we are seen as a soft touch, and I'm sorry, that's partly why it is, there are going to be smuggling gangs. Because, as you say, this stuff is worth as much as smuggling cocaine or weapons or anything else.
Doesn't change the fact that illegal immigration is just so unfair on any given country. And as regards the very people smuggling gangs, we certainly don't want any more of this.
We can exclusively tell you that people smugglers are putting on an illegal migrant ferry service, picking them up from various different points along the French coast. So it's not just Calais and Dunkirk. They are genuinely going along the coast, picking people up like an Uber service, okay? And they are doing pickups in Ambleteuse, Wissant and Sangatte. And this allows them to squeeze around 80 people onto a boat. The smugglers communicate using encrypted messaging services, and they'll do several stops along the French coast before setting off out into the Channel and then waiting for Border Force to come and get them.
And of course, as of July 2024, when Labour came to power, we've now got no chance of introducing an immigration policy where we pay another country to take our undocumented newcomers.
This is the same Keir Starmer who, on the second day in office, decided to ditch the Rwanda deportation plan.
Right.
Do you reckon, Mr Usherwood, that the European Convention on Human Rights, the ECHR, blocks us from undertaking mass deportations of illegal immigrants?
We're part of the ECHR, and you know the courts. The courts can't do it. The courts say they can't do it, and that's why, you know, Robert Jenrick, when he bid to become Conservative leader, said actually we needed to leave the ECHR.
Well, Mr Usherwood, if you're harbouring any hopes of us leaving the ECHR, dream on.
We will never withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights. Indeed, we're proud of the role the UK played in creating that convention.
Now, before you protest the PM's last words here, understand that the ECHR doesn't preclude the Rwanda scheme or any other such immigration control policy. A country can offload asylum seekers onto another country as long as that other country is safe. Rwanda's not being safe is why the Rwanda deportation scheme was, in 2023, declared unlawful by the UK Supreme Court. The court said, to reaffirm it, that if Rwanda were to become a place where a person's life or freedom isn't unreasonably or unacceptably at risk, then the Rwanda scheme would be legal. So, a deportation policy like the Rwanda scheme can be fully legal. What's standing in our way of an immigration policy like the Rwanda scheme is PM Keir Starmer. What are highly unlikely to ever be legal are none other than Sir Keir Starmer's newly unveiled plans for tackling illegal immigration. These plans of our Prime Minister involve targeting less the actual asylum seekers and more those who organise and facilitate the transportation of asylum seekers from their home countries to the UK, the criminal people smuggling gangs. In summary, Keir Starmer plans to deliver
300 staff to strengthen the global partnership and deliver new legislation, additional 100 specialist investigators and intelligence officers for the National Crime Agency to tackle the criminals involved in the smuggling, new technology around advanced data exploitation to boost collaboration with European partners investigating trafficking networks, creating new specialist intelligence unit examining the information from key police forces, boosting the CPS ability to deliver charging decisions more quickly on international organised crime cases. So again, all of this focused on the people that are organising it rather than the people that are actually being brought over here.
Yep, we've got that. But what could possibly be wrong with those plans, Black Belt Barrister?
Mr Saunders on BBC Radio 4, who was Chief Immigration Officer for Ports, said, unfortunately, what he said he's trying to do is just not feasible. He said the UK would only be able to prosecute and jail people smugglers in the UK, and the majority of people smugglers are actually based in the Middle East and Turkey. Under the UK asylum system, you can't deport failed asylum seekers who destroy documents, and that's essentially because you can't prove where they came from, and so you can't take them back, meaning you can't force another country to take them back if they've failed asylum because you can't prove where they came from.
Yeah, it all sounds just so bleak and hopeless. Then again, who says the PM genuinely wants shot of illegal immigrants?
A Conservative Party spokesperson said it's a shame that Starmer's not recognised the extent of the crisis in the Channel sooner, as he and the Labour Party voted against numerous measures to stop the gangs while they were in opposition. If Starmer continues to ignore the need for a deterrent to stop migrants crossing the Channel, there'll be more deaths in the Channel as more and more migrants continue to cross it.
On the note of the current government's former rejection of the previous government's planned strategies for tackling illegal immigration, just what gave rise to Labour's famous objections to the Conservatives' proposed scheme of mass deportations, where failed asylum seekers would be sent directly to Rwanda because we would be paying Rwanda to take them.
This government wants more illegal immigrants because the more they come in, the more they're dependent on our state system. And this is a government who wants to control every aspect of everyone's life. And they rely on vulnerable and poor people to vote for them because no one, as we
they don't get the vote either.
No one with any money or anyone who's actually in work or has any assets or has a car or a house would ever dream now of voting for the Labour Party.
Well, let's also remember that Rwanda was deemed by the UK Supreme Court not to be a safe country. Does illegal immigration have absolutely no benefits for absolutely anyone in the UK, do you wonder?
The Mail have got a story on page 4. The king of the migrant hotels, former caravan park boss Graham King, aptly named, who holds the Home Office contract for accommodating asylum claimants across southern England and Wales, made £60 million last year.
Those profits are up from 60 million. Up from £60 million a year before. I mean, extraordinary. And of course, this is taxpayers' cash, Mike. This is your cash, it's my cash.
It's our money.
Well, I bet you your bottom dollar that the government is fully committed to stopping the practice of taking over hotels for the purposes of accommodating asylum seekers and refugees. They know it looks bad to the public. They know it's not on.
I don't mind the likes of Graham King making a few bob, but this is, £90 million from this crisis. It needs
and
to
they're looking,
stop.
and Labour Party have already said, the government have said they're looking for more hotels.
Yes.
And they're looking for more accommodation, so even more money is going to be spent.
And they promised to stop the hotels. This was one of their pledges, to stop the hotels within a year. And now it's looking like their use is going to go on for at least 3 years.
I know, unbelievable.
Oh. Do you wonder how we've even ended up in this situation of such high levels of illegal immigration? Well, we'll cover that in another video. If you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.